Hey everyone, welcome to Season 2. Welcome back everyone to Season 2 of Getting to Know the Family, the show where we get to know you, the parishioners of Holy Family Parish here in San Jose. I'm really excited about our first episode of Season 2, where I got to sit down with Louann and Gil Gruber. They've been part of the parish forever and have a wonderful story that you may or may not know, and so really excited for you to hear that. If you don't know Gil and Louann, you've probably at least seen some of their work. For example, I'm standing next to the ambry that Gil built for us. The ambry is where we keep the holy oils that we use for baptism, confirmation, and anointing of the sick. So here's an example of his work. Come along with me as we get to know Louann and Gil Gruber. Well, Gil and Louann, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you on Getting to Know the Family.
Well, it's fun.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
I'm going to start with something a little different than you. Normally I ask first, how long you've been here. We'll get to that.
Okay.
I want to know a little bit about your childhood and what was it like? Where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
Gil and I actually grew up on the same street and started first grade together, but my childhood was just absolutely just normal. My dad worked, my mom was a homemaker, and I was the oldest, and I had two younger brothers, and we just, in fact, we were laughing about that a couple of days ago, walked to St. Wendellin's, which was probably about a mile away in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so it has kind of wicked weather, but we used to walk to school every day, and then we had to come home for lunch every day because we didn't live far enough to qualify for eating our lunch in the school. So we had about, 45 minutes to walk home, eat, and go back, and then walk back. So it was just an absolute...
Pretty good clip, if you're walking a mile.
Yeah. Gil lived a little closer, but anyhow, so I went there for 12 years, and I just had I'd say almost like a wonderful childhood and things. With two younger brothers, I was the oldest, the only daughter, which I absolutely loved because I loved my dad and was so happy to be his only daughter, which probably was a selfish notion, but because even when when I was 10 and my mom was expecting my younger brother, I remember just praying that there would be a boy because I wanted to be my dad's only daughter, which actually, to tell you the truth, Scott, after having children of my own and seeing how close my three daughters are, I probably would have been nice to have a sister, but it was what it was. But anyhow, I think then all the summer probably playing, in the woods, packing our lunch and, going out in the morning, eating our lunch, and then just come back. We always had to be back at dinner time. And then later in the evening, we always had to be in the house when the street lights went on. So that was about it. So, no, I think I had a pretty... some of the things I do miss is the woods and probably the lightning bugs, because that was always, once they came out back east, that was always exciting time and things. But good friends and, really good family with my aunts and uncles and everything. So it was a pretty normal childhood.
Yeah, we grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is hillier than San Francisco and colder than Hades. No, it was a great place. We lived on the same street. I lived on one side of the top of the hill, and she lived on the other. And we actually started first grade together at St. Wendelin. And we became friends almost immediately, I guess. We used to play games together, tag and run sheep run and all kinds of games that we played together. And we were friends all through probably grade school. And then I went to the public school and she stayed at the Catholic school for high school. And we kind of drifted apart until senior year. And we got together again and been together ever since, actually. So it was a great childhood. I had a sister. My father was He worked for the Equitable Gas Company, and my mother was a nurse. In fact, she started the nursing, because if you look at this picture of our family, I think there's 5 or 6 nurses in that picture. Anyway, it was a great childhood. Loved it.
One of the things I just want to interject, I stayed all 12 years at St. Wendellin's, but it was funny because Gil's dad was not Catholic, and he thought 8 years with the nuns was enough for his son. So he went to the public school, and it was so funny because the nuns would call the kids that didn't continue 4 years in high school the 2%ers. That's what. So he was known as the 2%ers that left the Catholic, and went to the public school. But it was just.
That's the way it was. Right?
That's the way it was. But I don't think he has any regrets. So.
So married in Pittsburgh. I'm
That's
assuming.
right.
Okay. And when did you come out to San Jose?
76.
Actually, tomorrow, August 22nd, it was 45 years ago tomorrow that we arrived in San Jose, California. So, and actually, it was supposed to be like about a 1-year assignment. Gil was supposed to open up a semiconductor, office out here. But honestly, we came out with five children, our 5 children, and we were only out here a couple months when they told us we could move back, but they were all staying in California.
All the kids revolted, right?
They loved it. They made an incredible adjustment.
Yeah.
So, we never went back.
About how old were your kids when you moved?
The oldest was in high
see.
school. She was a senior. The next one was a junior. And then we had younger kids that were in grade school still.
7th and
7th and 8th grade.
and second
then
grade.
Second grade. So
So they were anywhere from like
pretty good range.
7 to 17 is probably
Yeah,
what
7
they
to
were.
17. Yeah,
Right. And they just loved California, so they
Yeah.
said,
Oh, they loved
Yeah.
it. They
they were staying.
were there. And actually, we were certainly blessed because they're all married and picked wonderful spouses and still married after, 30, 35 years. So I'm grateful for that. And they blessed us with 13 beautiful grandchildren. So. And actually, the most exciting thing happened just recently. On June 27th, we were blessed with our first great-grandchild.
wow.
So little Oliver made the scene on June 27th. So now we're great-grandparents, which is exciting.
So how did you find Holy Family? And when did you join the parish?
Well, when we first moved here, we moved on Vista Park area. And we decided we better find a Catholic church so we can go. We were always involved in our church back in Pittsburgh. And so we started looking, and we looked and drove up Pearl Avenue, and we saw this big church up on the hill here, and we thought, well, maybe that's Holy Family. So we went up there and drove around and realized, no, that's not it. And then another time we were coming up Pearl Avenue, and we saw this little poster board that said Holy Family Parish, and I thought, there it is. And then I look at see the building turned in. They didn't have much of a sign then.
No.
Anyway, we went to our first Mass, and we were greeted by the people when we walked in the door, and the Mass was a lot like our Mass back in Pittsburgh. We loved it, and we stayed. We've been here ever since.
So what qualities, when you say it was a lot like back in Pittsburgh, because we think one of the things about the Catholic Church is the Mass is the Mass, but we know there's things about how we celebrate.
Well, actually, one of the things Scott was they all held hands when we said the Our Father, and that's what we were absolutely used to. And then I don't know, it was so comforting and welcoming and things. And when we first moved out here, our children were enrolled in Queen of Apostles Parish. School, and we really had all the intentions, to tell you the truth, to stay at Queen of Apostles until the day after we moved, and we came here, and actually never went back. The kids stayed at Queen of Apostles, and our youngest made her first communion there, and we were certainly back for that. But anyhow, we've been to Holy Family ever since.
Been open. It was an open parish. People were very friendly and accepting, very hospitable. And the Mass was just fantastic. You could tell that everybody loved it. The singing was great. So we loved it. It was just what we were used to and what we looked for.
Not that we had Jesuit priests back in Pittsburgh, but the Jesuits were just, wonderful as far as homilies and friendly and things like that. So we just been there ever since. So
I've often wondered, like the patrons of each parish. So ours obviously are the Holy Family, and
Right.
The charisms that come with the patron that is chosen for their family, and so for when I think of Holy Family, I think of family.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
And I think that is a charism we definitely have propagated through the years. That that
You can tell that
welcoming and that feeling,
you
sense
see
of
people.
family.
Yeah, when you see people that used to be parishioners and had moved away, and they keep coming back to visit, so you know that they missed something there.
I know
They had something.
there are families that will still travel back. They've moved back east or something like that, and they'll still travel here
Yes.
for a festival just
Right,
to have
right.
that community.
right, exactly.
And make that.
Plan their vacations just to come back and
Yeah.
see old friends and things. That's right. Yes.
So, having been part of the parish for 45 years, sure, and you were just saying you've been very active in the parish. Tell me some of the things that you've been active in, through the years. I know it's probably a long list. What are the highlights?
Well, we've been Eucharistic ministers, for quite a while, and I think I was even a babysitter during masses years ago, when people didn't want to bring their little ones, and we had a babysitting, in back at one of the rooms, I think, in the community center. And Gil and I both have been on art and environment, and also renovation,
Parish council.
We have a women's group called Columbiette, and I've been a charter member since, I guess, 2014 and been the treasurer. So I don't know. The funny thing is, actually, Gil has been lecturer and things like that, and he's been asked by several of the choir people to join the choir, and I have to tell you, nobody's ever asked me. So I figured they must have heard my singing or something. But and that's about the extent of it as far as involvement and things. So.
Well, the short version for me is I've been an usher, a lector, a Eucharistic minister, sacristan,
Yeah.
and on the councils and whatever. As much as could be involved in. We were involved in the greenhouse at the festival for a long time.
We were coordinators there.
And I'm a charter member of the Knights of Columbus. And so, yeah, it's been a great ride.
You've also helped out with some of the woodwork, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, well, there's a couple things around here that I put the Bible stand on the lectern and a top on one of the tables over here. I built I built that top. And the stand for the holy oils for the fountain, for the font. Yeah, quite a few things. And the cross that's sitting in the vestibule right now, I made for Father Howell because he couldn't carry the other one; it was too heavy. So I made that one. It's hollow.
Hollowed out, so a little easier to carry.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been great. And I was involved, and I think you were too, in
The
redoing
renovation?
the church. So that was a great
What was
time.
that experience like for you?
I thought it was great. I thought it was interesting that the council, the group that was together, we were trying to conserve funds and whatever. Father said, let's go for it. And we did. And it just came out beautifully.
Yes, Father Andrew is very much a let's go big.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to do it, let's do it.
Oh, it turned.
And it turned out great. So, yeah. I loved it when I used to feel bad that we were outside going to Mass during this crazy time, and we couldn't use our beautiful church. That was too bad.
So, what has, everyone has, kind of different stories of what this, last year and a half of the pandemic has been like for them. How how do I phrase this? How has it been for you? What were maybe some things that were some hidden blessings, and what were some things that were trials that maybe you struggled with? But
Yeah. A couple of our kids have had the COVID vaccine, or the COVID
The
pandemic.
vaccine.
the
And
virus itself.
one of them still has some residual breathing problems, and that's affected the family. Some of them believe firmly in vaccination, and some of them don't.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle. So
We've been vaccinated.
we've been
so.
vaccinated, but yeah. So I think that's the biggest negative that's been, is the impact on the families. It hasn't impacted us at all about doing anything, traveling, whatever. We've done everything that we wanted to do.
Mhm.
I've been working. I work 3 days a week, just part-time, just to keep the mind going. And I've still worked. Initially, I was off for a while because everything was closed down, but went back to work when I could. And that was good.
And you came out for a semiconductor.
It was,
job as
I worked for
semiconductor.
Westinghouse Research, and I was in the solid state department, and I was responsible for providing the some of the materials, silicon most of the time, but other things too, chemical vapor deposition. So I did that, and I started working with a friend. I made a friend there who did measurements on this material. And I became pretty expert in the measurements. And when he left and started his own company, he asked me to join him. So I did. And then I was there for a few years, and we decided we needed a presence out here. And so I came out. One of us had to come out, and it was me. He was the president, and I was the vice president. So I came out here, opened up an office in Santa Clara. And that worked out for a few years until the business just turned on for almost nothing. And so we both decided mutually that I should go find a job somewhere. So I started working at Siliconics in Santa Clara, and worked my way up from engineer to engineering manager. And 13 years later, I went back to the original company, opened up another lab there for demos and seminars and workshops. And then they got a new CEO, and he decided it would be better for me to do marketing, technical marketing in Asia. So we closed the office, and I started traveling. And for 5 years, I was back and forth every couple of weeks, right?
2 weeks every month to Asia.
To all over Asia. Wherever there was semiconductor business, that's where I was. And Europe occasionally. So yeah, I did that for a while, and then retired. But then my son-in-law's father, a few years later, asked me, actually we were sitting in church, and somebody was graduating.
Yeah.
My granddaughter was graduating
From eighth grade.
From 8th grade. And he said to Lou, he said, "You don't think Gil would want to come and help me out, do you?" I got some wafers that I got to, semiconductor wafers I got to thin down, and he knows more about it than I do. So I said, yeah. I came down, I said, I'll work for 3 days a week. Been there ever since. That was 14, 15 years ago.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Anyway, then he sold the company recently to another guy, and he wanted me to stay on, so I'm still working there.
Still working.
Still using my mind. That's what I want to do. And it's great. Gives me something to do. Gets me out of the house. She retired before me. And one of the things we did, we went to a seminar for retired people that were retiring. And there was a couple there gave a talk, and they said, I took him for better or for worse, but I didn't take him for lunch.
Yeah, that was
He's on his own for lunch.
yeah, that was, yeah, I remember that. And I don't think I've ever made you lunch, right?
I don't think so.
And when did you retire from?
I retired from Kemper Insurance. I started there after we've been out here, a couple years, part-time. My background's always been claims. Claims department. I worked at Allstate when I first graduated and things. So I just started part-time. And honestly, 20 years later, I was a senior workers' comp supervisor. And actually, to tell you the truth, the highest paid person in the whole office, including the manager. And I don't really know how that happened, but Gil calls it my serendipitous career because I honestly, with 5 little kids, I never thought for once I would have a career, but it certainly enhanced our retirement and everything. So I actually retired, I think I was just 60 because all of a sudden little grandchildren were appearing. And I thought I did a fairly good job with my own children, and what could be more important than grandchildren. So when I retired, more arrived. So I was busy for a long time babysitting and taking kids to school and things like that. So and the interesting thing is, too, one time, Holy Family had Grandparents' Day when they had it, and Gil and I got an award, I don't know what it was, because we had 6 grandchildren here at Holy Family at one time. So we were awarded. I'm not sure. I don't know what it was, but that was kind of interesting. So a good
Most
many of them
grandkids in the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good many of them went to Holy Family School and things.
So tell me about your family. So 5 kids.
5
what was
kids.
it like raising 5 kids?
Well, actually thought it was busy because I actually had 4 of them before the oldest was 5. So that was, and there were no twins involved. So you can imagine I was quite busy with little children, a couple in diapers and things like that. And Gil was working and
What
going.
do they call Irish twins?
Yeah.
I was working and going to night school
Yeah,
at the
Gil
time.
was working and going to
So
night school.
I was studying and she was watching the kids.
Yeah, my
So
job was to keep
she
them
deserves
quiet.
the degree as much as I do.
I thought my name should have been on the degree, to tell you the truth. But that was my job, trying to keep them quiet while their dad studied. So I don't know. I guess I was kind of successful in things. But
Yeah.
it was a busy. But it was back in Pittsburgh, and all the families had 4 and 5 children. So it was just kind of you did that, and you were busy as as moms and things, and when you're young, you kind of don't know any better either. So I mean, it was just I was busy and enjoyed it, and
That was life.
that was life actually, and things. To tell you the truth, but yeah, they kept me busy. There's no doubt about it. And things. So that's what I meant when I came out here. I mean, never worked back in Pittsburgh, and when I came out here, I think I was the only 1 or 2 people on the street, moms that weren't working. And then before we moved out here, I used to go into Gil's company like one day a week or something and kind of get to know the clients and things like that, because I was to be his secretary when we moved out here. So that lasted a very short time because I would get his letters all done, and they had to be picture perfect, you can believe, because he wasn't the easiest boss. But and then when I'd have all his letters done and things, at one time he tried to teach me to look through a microscope, and that did it. I don't know what I saw. I didn't see anything. So I just started looking in the papers to see if there was any part-time jobs that I could possibly do, and there was a claims department little part-time job available, and that's how my career started. So
So what was you talked a little bit about your youth and your faith experience in going to a Catholic school and things like that. What was it like passing on the faith to your children and grandchildren?
I think we did. I mean, actually back in Pittsburgh, we made the Crucio, 1970, and our children were thrilled, with going to. I don't want to call them picnics and parties and all that, but that whole Crucio just, lifts you up, and we would have masses in a park and even in our own home and things like that. And that really, I think, stuck with our, children and things. So what we did notice with our own children, once they started off to college and things, that their faith kind of, dwindled and things. But once they started having children and knew how important it was for the children to be raised in a faith. I mean, they were always baptized, the grandkids and all that. That's when they really started back being involved in the Catholic Church and things. So as far as the grandkids, I mean, it's a struggle with them. As far as I don't know what to say about them, but it surprises me that some of them have had 8 years at Holy Family, 4 years at Notre Dame, and things like that. But on the whole, I mean, a lot of them really are no longer, practicing Catholics. I'm hoping maybe when they start having children, they realize how important it is to have some kind of faith, to hand on and things. But that's part of my big prayer life, to tell you the truth, just praying that, something does happen that way. So did you have anything to say either?
Well, our own children, we have actually 3 of them that are members of Holy Family. And one of them's a member of Holy Family up in Citrus Heights. So, and another one is back east, and he's a lector, and
Lynn's a sacristan.
his wife is a sacristan, and so forth. So we kind of don't pat ourselves on the back because we didn't do much, but the Holy Spirit was working somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's.
You should tell the story about when we were back here last month about Tom being.
Yeah, last month I was back east, and my son is now the Grand Knight of the Knights of Columbus back in his parish, St. Mary's back in Marshall, Michigan. And he asked me to if I would come and talk to the meeting, the business meeting.
It was his first meeting.
It was his first meeting. And he said, just tell them what you do out in Holy Family. And I said, I'll be glad to do that. So that was a good experience. I started out by saying it's really strange to say to my son, worthy Grand Knight, instead of, hey, Tom. So yeah, it was a great experience, and the kids are doing well. So.
He got a standing ovation, and the next day we went to mass and all that. Everybody knew him, so that was kind of all the men did anyhow. So it was interesting.
Well, I conclude my interviews with everyone with the same set of questions. I'm going to go through those questions with you, and get to a little different side. Okay. What is your favorite word?
Without a doubt, it's family. Because society really has a hard time to even flourish without the family. And I truly believe that it's being persecuted right now and things. So I absolutely can't talk enough about the family and the importance of our whole culture and everything. So family is important.
Favorite word? Wow. I don't even know if I have a favorite word. I don't know. Family is certainly important, and I think it's integrity. You need to be aware of yourself and what you're doing, and be honest with yourself and everybody else. That's important.
What is your least favorite word?
Probably evil. Evil. And I often think what I heard a long time ago, the devil and things like that, that the best thing the devil or evil has going for it, that people don't believe he exists. And I truly believe he exists. So evil, the devil, or any of that, that's my least favorite word, to tell you.
Mine is secularism. That's where most of the evil lurks. Yeah.
What turns you on? What gets you excited?
Well, actually, I guess children, babies, and all that, because my biggest excitement was June 29th, 27th to hear that I had a great grandchild. I had been waiting with 13 grandchildren. I thought it was going to happen a lot earlier, to be perfectly honest. But that turns me on. It was an extremely exciting event for the whole family, to tell you the truth, because we haven't had a baby in the family for 17 years. Our youngest grandchild is 17, so that was a big turn on for everybody, to be perfectly honest. So.
A couple things. To do a good job with things. I'm a woodworker and a wood carver, exactly. And one of the things I enjoy most is that time, that concentration that you have to put into any art, any kind of artwork. You're probably the same way with your music. You put time into it, you concentrate on it, and everything else is not there. It's just that. And I consider myself a problem solver. So when I come with a solution to something that's been a problem or nagging at people, I feel good about that. I feel that's an important thing to do. And so, yeah, those are the kind of things that turn me on.
What turns you off?
Rudeness. And I think during this whole pandemic, I've seen, I don't know whether rudeness is more prevalent or not, but rudeness, and people just aren't no longer kind and things. So that turns me off.
I think minimalism turns me off. When you only do enough to get the job done, but you don't do it to the best extent of your ability. When you don't use your faculties and your talents as much as you could, that turns me off. I don't like to see that.
What sound or noise do you love?
I love some of the songs I actually have Alexa some of the songs. My favorite hymn is Holy God, We Praise Thy Name. It's my favorite song and my favorite song. And I was so excited on Wednesday during the Rosary and during benediction. We did sing it here, Holy God, We Praise Thy Name. So that's one of my favorite songs. And How Great Thou Art. I have a couple favorite ones. So I often ask Alexa to play them. But yeah, I enjoy hearing that.
Mine is a beautiful piece of classical music or just music in general. A beautiful song that says something important, or just a beautiful piece of music that just brings tears to your eyes sometimes. That's my favorite sound.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Fire engines and ambulances and things like that just are a frightening sound. Even here on Wednesday night, when the fire engine went, I mean, it's just that there's so many fires and you're so aware of it and things like that. So I always try to remember to say a little prayer if I hear a fire engine or an ambulance or something, because I just realize then that people are under stress and things. So that's a bad sound to hear.
Mine is a constantly barking dog.
Oh.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Who is your favorite saint?
Oh, probably Harry Connick Jr. I kind of
Saint.
Saint.
Oh, saint. Oh, I thought you
He's
said
a saint in the making, maybe?
I don't think he's a saint. Not yet.
my favorite
We'll keep praying
saint. It would have to be Saint John Paul the Great, because I give him credit for the peace that Europe has experienced, or hopefully experienced. But I just think Saint John Paul the Great was great, and he is my favorite saint.
I'm going to have to say Ignatius of Loyola, because he started out as a hellion, a soldier, and found God and just changed his whole life around. So, and then he obviously worked with the poor and Yeah, I would have to say that.
What ministry or occupation, other than one you've done, would you like to try?
Well, it won't be choir, Scott, since I've never been asked. But no, honestly, at my age right now, I don't think there is anything that I would like to continue with what I'm doing, which would be Eucharistic minister and like I said, treasurer of the Columbiates and things. That there is nothing that I'm ready to go into again. Or I really, I'm kind of happy just kind of where I am right now, to tell you the truth. So.
You mean there's one I haven't done?
The occupation is also fair game.
I've done a lot of them, so I don't know. I think I wouldn't mind going back to becoming an elector again. I enjoyed that, and I thought that was an important thing to do. But I prefer to be a Eucharistic minister.
What ministry or occupation would you not like to do?
Well, we know hers. She doesn't want to be
in the choir.
I won't. Well, I don't think I'd be on parish council anymore, because I thought when I was on it that I gave them all the history and wisdom that I had. And when they started going into computers and different things like that, I mean, I use an iPad, but I'm certainly not, computer literate. But I don't think I'd go back. I don't think Father Andrew would ask me back, but I mean, that's one, I wouldn't go back to want to be in parish council anyway. In fact, my daughter, I think, replaced me, so Father Andrew probably knew what he was doing when he asked Susie and when I resigned, so that's about it.
I don't think I'd want to become part of the technical aspect either. I've been working with computers since 1964, I think, and I'm about up to here with them. I recently switched from Windows to Apple just because I got just so fed up with updates and Windows. It was crazy. Anyway, I wouldn't want to do that.
Last one here. What would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well, I would like him to say, "Welcome, my good and faithful servant." And I don't want to hear, "Who are you?" So that would be my that would be my first choice, to tell you the truth. But
I would like to hear him say, "Hi, Gil. Actually, you can stay."
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today. Really appreciate you spending time with me.
Thank you,
It was
Scott.
quite interesting and fun.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes.
Well, that's another episode of Getting to Know the Family. Thank you, Gil and Louann, for being my guests. I really enjoyed talking with you. If you'd like to be part of an upcoming episode and to share your story, we'd like to get to know you too. Contact Christina in the parish office. Till next time, I'll see you in the pews.